Hello everyone, welcome to the Rust tutorial again. This is the second lecture in the series. So if you haven't seen the first one, please go ahead and watch the video first, the part one of the series, and then come back to this one. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about cargo, what is cargo in Rust, and also we are going to write our first code and execute it using cargo, and in turn learning some new concepts of Rust language. All right, cargo comes installed when you install Rust. So when you first time install Rust, cargo, Rust-C, and all the other things that are needed for a cargo programming language, Rust programming language gets installed. All right. Now, cargo is used in most applications because it handles your packaging, compiling, downloading dependencies. It does a whole lot of managing work. So therefore, you do not just directly go and create a RS file. You use cargo to do it. All right. So let's see a demo of how we can use cargo. So you have cargo. Since this is the first time you're doing it, you say new, okay? And let's say my first project. All right. So remember, this new is essential because it's the first time, but next time if you do it, you don't have to use the keyword new. See what it did. Created binary application, my first project package. It already did it. Let's see the directory. Here, see here, my first project. So if you go into my first project, what do you see? It created cargo.toml file and a src directory. Cargo.toml file is, you can compare it being similar to your gradle.properties file or your pom.xml file, where if you're using Maven, it has a list of all the libraries along with the version numbers that you're using stored in that. So in that way, it's similar to Maven, POM file of Maven or Gradle properties file. Now let's see into the, first, let's cat the cargo file. And go here. Do you see here? It's a package. So that's your package name, the version number, edition, okay? And dependency. So right now there are no dependency because there is no code or we're not using any libraries. Later on when we use it, we'll see, does it get updated? All right. Let's go to src. It automatically created main.rs. And if we look in main.rs, it's nothing but hello world, right? It has a function main with println. What we're going to do is, I'm going to use Visual Studio Code. You could simply use any text editor file, whether it could be Sublime Text or anything, Notepad, VI or VIM, use any editor, all right? I will use Visual Studio Code because it's easy, right? Because it's already it's there. All right, so let me share that. Visual Studio. All right, and if I go here, this project src.rs. All right. Now what we're going to do is write a little bit more complicated code, not complicated, a little bit more advanced code using libraries. All right. So this simple code, what it's going to do is ask for input your name, and it would just say, hello, your name. Okay, it's very simple, but it will demo certain more, it will try to explain a little bit more concepts related to Rust, all right? The first one, as I said, we will be asking the user to input the name, right? So here it is, use stdio, all right? Here you go. This is similar to importing the library. Like when you import libraries in any other programming language, it's similar to that. So we will be using functions which are there in IO. Now, when the user inputs the name, we will be storing it in a variable. And again, the value will change. So it needs to be mutable, because by default, all variables in Rust programming language are immutable. Okay, so I would say username is equal to string : new. Right? So this is very simple. If you're familiar with other programming languages, oh, sorry, I forgot the braces. It's a method. If you're familiar with the other programming languages, what it does is it creates a new instance of string object and assigns it to this variable. Okay, so two new concepts. First of all, how do you import the library? Okay, using the keyword is use. How do you instantiate an object? Giving the data type, so string, new string object. How do you assign it to a variable? It's equal to sign. Variable name, it's mutable because we need to change its value. All right. Next up, let's get the value from the user. So we imported this stdin. So from standard input, now, if you're familiar with the Lambda expression, there goes the dot, read line. And here, what we need to do is, whatever the user enters, the value, it should be stored in this variable name, username, all right? And in Rust, syntax is this way, username, all right? Now, what you could do is, this could be simple. And then you could say print, and instead of hello world, or instead of word, you could say username, okay? There's one more thing here, but I'll let you know. Notice the syntax. This is the placeholder that you would do, okay? So what it would do is read line, this, and print hello username. So whatever you do, let's run it. There is an important thing that is missing here, but it's okay. We'll come to it. All right. So how we do it, we go back again and we do cargo run. All right. So let's go back to our terminal. All right. And then if you see, here, there it is. I mean, that is, it has all the new things that we added, fancy things. And again, just for a recap, this is the starting point. Function main is the starting point of any Rust program. Let's do cargo run. It'll compile, package. All right. Finished and running this. All right. So it's expecting the input. Say, there it is. Hello, Mina. There you are. Voila. But there is something that here, the warning. All right. So here, certain things about Rust. Variable name should have a snake case name, right? So it does not like camel case, it likes snake case. We can change that. Okay, that's one thing. Second thing is, see here what read line returns a result object, which could be either an error or an okay, which means if there is some, some error reading the object, reading the input, what to do in that case. Okay, so readline returns, that function readline returns result object, which is an enumeration. It can return two values, either ERR, which is an indication of an error, or if everything is fine, it just say okay. Oh, all right. So let's modify our project, okay, and redo it. So let's use vi main.rs, right? So two things. Let's change this to snake case. I'm doing that because every time I don't need to switch back and forth between. So we took care of one thing, and the other thing is expect. So this is how you handle it. So here, dot expect. Now this is by default. If it's an error, this method would be called. So error reading. Right? Now we took care of it. So that is what it was expecting you to do. All right. So you are handling the error scenario because Rust wants you to do that. All right. So two new changes. Variable names are camel case, placeholder. Placeholder is not new, okay, and expect. And remember, read line returns an object of type result, which is an enumeration with two values, okay, and ERR. And this is how you handle error. So this is basically error handling, right? Save the file. Go here, cargo run. Oops, okay, it's complaining because the N is capital here. But anyways, we could take care of that. Okay, let's enter some other name. What name should we enter? Okay. Okay. My favorite actor. Okay, sorry. Hello, George. George Clooney. He's my favorite actor. But here you go. Hello, George. All right. So certain concepts that we learned today new. First is cargo. We use cargo for packaging, building, running Rust programs. How to import the libraries. We import the libraries using the use statement. It's possible to use without the use also, but still, it's a good practice to know. Mutable variables. And in Rust, everything is passed by reference. So you're passing actually a memory reference so that you don't have to duplicate the variable names. You're just passing memory reference, right? So every function that is referring to the variable is referring to the same memory location. So you're not creating copies of variables, right? Placeholder, lambda style of writing, all right? Functional style of writing, I should say, yeah, functional style of writing, readln, and then dot, okay? So that's the functional way of writing. And printing is always there. That's a macro, which is inbuilt, and a placeholder, right? So this is all for today's session. Of course, we'll be back with more complex programming. Oh, let's see before we end, okay? Did it change anything in nothing changed here? What is in cargo.log? See the file, this was not there. It got created. Okay, here it is, cargo.log, first package, everything is there. So see, this file is automatically generated by Cargo. It is not intended for manual editing. It's basically, it'll store, if you're using the certain specific libraries, it'll store the version number of the libraries in here, like how in dependencies you specify the version number, same way it will do it here. Okay, we'll do that in the coming lectures. All right. Thank you all for listening. And until then, happy programming. Bye.